Oh, whoa, whoa. Whoa, settle down, everyone. Settle down. No need to get a chant going on. Jeez, I'm just kidding. Well, hey, everybody, good evening. Maybe some of you are across the world. If so, good morning. But nonetheless, thank you all for having me, Cadre. It's a pleasure always to do one of these workshops. And it's great to see, like I mentioned earlier, some familiar faces and some faces I've seen in classes before and some faces I may have not seen before. So really nice to see you all here tonight. Thanks for coming. I know it's always difficult to make these times, but trust me, I'm going to make this really fun for us tonight. And, maybe we'll do some, digital media, black magic art, as I like to call photogrammetry. And also probably I'm going to shorten the photogrammetry term down to PG, 2 letters, because I don't know. Yeah. Photogrammetry kind of tires the head. So that being said, I'm going to get things going with just a little quick introduction of like kind of the work that I do. A quick, easy way to do that is just kind of, I guess I'm, throw my Instagram up on the screen. I have some various slide decks, but always every slide deck I make is tailored for the class I'm presenting in. So this is my Instagram. A lot of the stuff that I've done in the past is pretty much related to photogrammetry and photo scanning. Some of the work that I do is with point cloud data sets. So again, a lot of this stuff I'm able to achieve with mobile apps. Again, a lot of this stuff, is utilizing traditional, photogrammetry methods, which is what we're going to be learning tonight in this workshop. So again, everyone here tonight should be able to achieve a photogrammetry technique and method. And of course, if you want to follow me on Instagram, feel free to. I'm always happy to follow anybody else if you'd like to. I don't post that much. I'm not really a social guy, kind of more like a hermit. Maybe some of you can embody that as well. But this is a lot of the work that I've been kind of doing over the years, kind of exploring this idea of photogrammetry, what is possible with it. Again, kind of experiment with it and try to do like some fun things with those models. And some things like I get them going and then I never finish them. I'm sure we all kind of feel like that from time to time. But photogrammetry is really cool and it's been kind of showcasing my work for about a year or so now. So I'm no means, I would say, the master of all masters of photogrammetry. But with a lot of things, once you kind of be fiddle with it for some time, you kind of get the hang of the quirks and everything like that. And it's very experimental at times. We're actually going to be going in this bathroom, by the way. So this might be a little bit of a foreshadow of what we'll be doing later. But nonetheless, though, photogrammetry is a really cool technique. I know some of you out there are really excellent 3D modelers. And some of you, I think, are curious about 3D, but just not too sure where to start. So I think one of the best ways to kind of get going with 3D is using reality as your medium. And that's what's really cool about with photogrammetry. So that being said, let me actually open up my little slide deck for today. Officers, feel free to, kind of spam those, links again as people kind of join in. I'll kind of address those links when they come to be. So with tonight's workshop, as I mentioned, it is a photogrammetry workshop. Oops, I don't want to do share. I want to do present. You already all have this accessible through the link shared here in a moment. But yeah, so photogrammetry. So tonight's workshop, this is going to be the kind of goal. Oh, actually, well, no, we'll keep going. The third slide, we're going to download software. So just to want to make sure we get that going. So when we are talking about photogrammetry, some of you might be like, well, what the hell is photogrammetry? What is that? Maybe some of you have heard the term photo scanning, 3D scanning. I mean, there's a lot of different ways it's called, but at least myself, I kind of go by its, traditional name of photogrammetry. So photogrammetry is the science and technology of obtaining reliable information about physical objects and the environment through process of recording, measuring, interpreting photographic images, patterns of electromagnetic radiant imagery, and other phenomena. Can you tell that I grabbed this from Wiki? If you did, you are correct. But nonetheless, though, photogrammetry really is just about taking photos of things in the real world, be it objects like this water bottle, which you may not see, you can kind of see there, buildings, and a lot more. And a lot of times photogrammetry is not only used in the art world, but it's used in the industry, for surveying, construction. It's a pretty quick and easy way to kind of scan an environment and again, construct a 3D model for usage, be it, again, for a movie, for a video game. A lot of games nowadays are actually utilizing photo scan models to get that really nice touch of realism. So it's pretty cool. And I myself have really fell in love with this process because it makes 3D modeling a lot easier. But the combination of the two, 3D modeling and photogrammetry, I mean, your possibilities are endless. So in the slide deck, I'm not really going to go over and just kind of burn rubber on, your minds. Again, a lot of you have been facing long school days. I think let's make this more of a fun workshop than a history lesson. But again, if you want to look into some, history about photogrammetry, kind of like the idea of the historical of optics and perception, from the camera obscura and beyond, I think that would be a really fun link to check out. And photogrammetry examples, again, if you're just kind of curious of what is possible with photogrammetry, I think this list again will serve you very well. So again, as I mentioned, there's a lot of terms of photogrammetry, out there. And there's this other concept that's been making waves that maybe some of you have heard of called LiDAR. So LiDAR is a completely different process than photogrammetry. So don't get it, this isn't a LiDAR workshop, it's a photogrammetry workshop. Now, LiDAR is something I, of course, use in combination with photogrammetry. I'm very fortunate to have one of the new iPhones, the iPhone, 12 and higher, they are capable of LiDAR sensors. And I believe some of the new generation of iPads as well. So again, if some of you are curious about LiDAR, I know there's a lot of apps available and I'm happy to kind of go over that. Maybe that might be some of the questions later tonight. But photogrammetry, kind of the main difference is you're going to be capturing images to compile the data for the reconstruction. So in this screenshot here, this is actually from Reality Capture. You can see all these different camera positions. So again, I'm not going to count these, but there's probably over hundreds of images here. So the more images that you gather, the better your data reconstruction is going to be when it's constructing that 3D model. LiDAR, on the other hand, is again something more so like akin to like sonar. It kind of like generates a point cloud data set automatically and then compiles a mesh from it. If some of you again have some of those newer iPhones or iPads, you'll notice LiDAR is actually extremely fast. And in some cases, when I'm out in the wild scanning, I may not have time to cycle an object like, 100 times over in rotation. Sometimes I got to be really quick with it, right? Like a lot of the scans I've been doing recently is at the coastline at the beach. And sometimes I got to go under a cove and, I got to do a quick scan before that water comes right back up and hits me with the tide. So sometimes, again, you got to use whatever process is going to be achievable for the time, and balancing both photogrammetry and LiDAR is truly where the magic happens, in my opinion. So the software that we're going to be utilizing tonight, and again, I'm going to cover two software processes. Again, I know you might be thinking like, holy smokes, like I got to download all this, Tyler. No, you don't. I would probably say stick with one or the other unless you're really ready for it. I think, again, it's totally achievable to do both software techniques tonight. And again, if you're a little bit, overwhelmed or it's a little bit tough to follow, don't worry, those resources I provided, text tutorials of slide decks and video resources, I think will very much help you all. And as always, you can always reach out to me in the Cadre Discord, which I am quite active in there. I usually kind of just creep and listen to everyone's conversations like a weirdo. But that's what I feel, I think the best people sometimes in life are weirdos, right? But today we're going to be looking at reality capture. You can download this from Capture Reality. I'll put the link in the chat as well, unless an officer beats me to it. But this software basically, again, is going to be a nice program for Windows users. So unfortunately, the harsh reality is Apple Mac devices, you're kind of stressed for software that works with your machine. A lot of this photogrammetry stuff needs a very high intensive, powerful GPU, which is normally compiled by NVIDIA cards. And a lot of the software relies on NVIDIA capture data, which is so weird how Trinio works on an Apple phone, but not on a computer. It's kind of weird. Maybe in the future that'll change, but there's more software being developed constantly. Even Android has some options, but in reality, I'm going to be teaching the software for Windows computer devices and Apple iPhones or iPads if you have them. Okay, those are the kind of two groups I'm going to hit. If for some reason you're an Android Mac user, sorry about that. You're a little bit pressed for luck, but again, I'm totally happy to showcase other software that might be of interest to you. So reality capture is what we're going to be using in Trinio. I'm going to kind of just slide out of my presentation, check the chat to see if it's been thrown in. It has been. Thank you, Lori. So I'm going to showcase those links here real quick, just to kind of walk you all through it. So let's take a pause from Tyler's lecture here real quick. And let's look at the software here before we get into the nitty gritty. So Trinio, again, like I mentioned, is an awesome software. It is strictly, you download it on your mobile app. It is not something that I can really, walk you through until I, start using my phone and go through the app store. But all you need to do on an Apple iPhone is go to the app store, look up Trinio, Trinio, It's going to be about $4.99 or $5.99. If anyone wants to relay that information in the chat, please do. I'm happy for anyone to do the research for us. But it's pretty nice. And again, yeah, I know it's a drag. We're all pressed for money, but $5 can go a long way. And what's nice with this one software, it's kind of like you pay once and you're done. You never have to pay for an extracted model or exporting or anything like that, which some other photogrammetry software will have you do. And honestly, you know, I mean, shucks, with the whole NFT boom happening with non-fungible tokens, maybe you can make some killer sculptures and make a killing with it with some, you know, with a $5.99 purchase or whatever for this app. So it's really cool. And again, something I think if you have an Apple iPhone is definitely an awesome app for you to play with. And they also have a lot of tutorials available as well on Trinio. I'm not really going to have a slide deck for Trinio per se, because it's so easy. We're actually going to do a walkthrough with it. But if again, you have an Apple iPhone, I would recommend you to download the Trinio app. I will most likely do the Trinio app first and then do reality capture after. So that's Trinio. And then on my virtual computer I have running here in the background, I'm going to be downloading reality capture with you all, because like I said, you know, downloading new software can sometimes be tricky. I want to see like all those pitfalls you all may run into that may be challenging to navigate through. So reality capture is an amazing, powerful program. The unfortunate aspect of it is you have to pay to get the models out of the software. Now, how much does it cost? Usually less than $1 per model. Like think about like 30 cents, 50 cents, you know. Again, that is a drag, but you're going to really just be blown away by the power of reality capture. If this was a couple of years ago, I'd be teaching you with another software that would take hours sometimes to render a model. This does it in mere minutes. So again, there is some awesome sauce that's going on here that, again, I think it worths the payment, you know, and it's also sponsored by Epic. So like I said, it's going to be fun for a long time. So I'm going to take, of course, a break from my lecture, and I'm going to download this software here. Again, I do see that those links are shared in the chat. Just to help out one more time, just to reiterate, I am going through the process of downloading reality capture from capturingreality.com. And all you need to do here is hit this little button up here that says download now. Pretty straightforward. I think all of us as, you know, digital media artists have gone to the knack of downloading software. So when you see that big download button, I'm pretty sure you're all pretty quick in clicking on that. It's giving me the executable to download, pretty quick and easy. And again, this is for Windows users. Mac users, like I say, I think it will allow you to download reality capture. It just may run into an issue when you try to compile your scan. So like I said, some of you, it may be a little bit challenging to satisfy everyone's requirement needs, but I will at least be able to teach you the techniques of photogrammetry, which maybe you can, again, pair up with some people outside of this workshop, you know, with friends or family, and see what devices they have to offer. So I'm just walking through the installation here in this virtual computer. I don't really designate where these things download. It just downloads. This computer is like somewhere in bloody Sweden. So people are watching us right now as we're going through this workshop, which I hope they don't watch, because I do some weird stuff on this virtual computer. So yeah, hopefully no one's watching. But yeah, it's going to download. And while it's kind of downloading, look at that. It's done pretty quick, huh? That's one of the fastest software that I've ever seen download. So that's kind of it. That's the quick, painless, hopefully painless process you need to go through to download this software. And just to kind of prove that it's downloaded is I'm going to open it up, and then I'm going to go back to my lecture and hang on a sec before I get started. I am noticing though, the first time when I downloaded, I downloaded on this computer and then I uninstalled it because I wanted to walk through the downloading process with you all. But I did notice for the first time I downloaded it, it said like, hey, do you want to go through our like walkthrough demo tutorial or go through the help menu? If anything, I would probably just close the app and reopen it again. Hopefully it won't bombard you with tutorial nonsense. If it does, the option you'll want to hit is the help guide, which will just open up a big window that you can't really close. Just hit the help guide one, close the window. And then, like I said, we'll get together with reality capture here in a moment, but feel free to have that open on your desktop, hanging tight, waiting for us to capture some source images. Because with photogrammetry, we need images to get rocking and rolling. And I have some images already set aside for everyone, but if you want to download or take your own images and upload them, that's totally fine. And actually, speaking of that, I think it would be good to also showcase where you can download those images as well. So again, from this doc that I see everyone's on it, so that's awesome. Everyone's doing good. So I'm going to copy this in chat again and just bring it up to the forefront of the chat channel. So in that Google Doc, which I see everyone has access actually, on the very bottom where it says image data sets, I would like you to just click on this sample image sets to download. And I've given you 3 image data sets for you to play with today. If again, you're kind of worried that, hey, these images may take a while to download, I would recommend you to download sculpture relief images. Download the one on the left here. That's going to be the lowest file size. It's only like 14 images. Skull is about 80 images and succulents like 100 plus. So of course, the more images, the longer the download. So at least to understand these processes tonight, I would recommend you download the sculpture release file and then maybe download the skull and succulents on your own time if you want to practice with what you learned tonight. Okay. Any questions so far about all this software downloading, image downloading? I know it's a lot of information to throw into. I guess we're almost back in class time again. But any questions so far? Don't be shy if you're running into any issues. I may not be able to solve them on the fly, but definitely I just would like to hear what's going on and provide some insight with you after the workshop. No? As always, I'm always used to the silence in the class. I'm sure some of my students can attest, but hey, when I'm a student in a classroom, I'm pretty quiet too. I'm not going to jump on the mic to make I don't know, a giggle or turn on the voice cam to nod my head. It's just not logistically possible, right? So no worries there. I understand you all. I get it. So yeah, that's basically it. I'm going to go back to my little lecture here, get things going back in order. Where is my little lecture? Here it is. Awesome. Thank you, Van, for the confirmation. All right, let me go back to present. So yeah, so reality capture in Trinio is going to be the software that we're going to be using tonight. I'd like to say reality capture is a way more powerful software. And Trinio is just something, again, that's really quick and dirty. And it's really nice. Some of you that are in 107 here tonight, or again, have heard of Trinio, it's a pretty, excuse the French, but a badass program. And like I say, I can't believe it's only $5. It's pretty miraculous. I really hope they don't get rid of it because I've had that happen in the past. So other additional photogrammetry software. So as always, I'm very much into open source and everything like that, and keeping things free. So again, if there are other software that you'd like to look into, here they are listed here. Alice Vision has access to Meshroom, which is a cool software. Agisoft Metashape is another very proficient software that's probably rivaling reality capture in the industry. It's a little bit tricky to run it. So like I said, I'm showing you all the best software in my opinion. So you're in for a good ride. And again, if you want to follow that link to that Medium article on the bottom right on my slide, again, those slides are accessible to you, so you can check this out whenever. It'll provide you some more options and even a version that works for Mac, but I don't have a Mac. I don't know how it works, and I don't know if it's a painful software. So hopefully some of the things I hit tonight is going to be good. So this is where, of course, some slides are going to be just a wall of text. So with photogrammetry, as I mentioned, the main kind of process is you need to capture images. You need to go out there in the real world and take a lot of images of an object, usually getting pretty dizzy depending how many times you got to circle the beast, right? So these are just, again, good guidelines to follow while you're shooting these photos for your 3D modeling purposes. So of course, bullet point no one, there are some limitations regarding object or scene to be captured. Some things just aren't going to work. If it has lack of detail, texture, it's like a very reflective surface. Like imagine like a big black plastic wall that is reflective. That I almost sound like I set up to say something else there. But at the end of the day, even black itself is going to be hard to capture. It just that information it gets confused with, thinks it's a shadow. And the computer's stupid. And basically how it constructs these models is it takes key points and it takes these markers to take the images and align them. If you don't have anything that it can mark to, like let's say a crack on the floor, a blue dot or something like that, or, just items around, it's going to be really a challenge. And as I mentioned, first of all, reflective, transparent, featureless objects should be avoided because if the algorithm doesn't find enough matching points between the photos, the object might not be able to fully construct. Shortly speaking, objects with a lot of visual details or texture are your better choices, right? Something that has a lot of detail to it, which I will actually do a live scan here today, or tonight, I should say. And moving objects or backgrounds, which causes noise, may be preventing a successful reconstruction. If you're doing like photo scanning outside a car window, which you never should, it's going to be hard for it to capture that image because, motion blur, things happen, right? Now, doesn't mean you have to follow these rules to the T. Sometimes break the rules, right? You might get some really unexpected results that could make some really beautiful, art at the end of the day. So while capturing images, the most important things are the images must be taken from different viewing positions. So a top view, a bottom view, side view. Basically you just want to kind of like capture this almost if you were the scanner, 3D scanning the individual. To get accurate results, remember to create a 50% overlap. So you should kind of like do a little shuffle, like, which, like I said, I'll kind of show you how that process goes. And make sure to capture the object on multiple photos. So that kind of makes sense, right? You would want multiple photos of the single object. It is always better to take too many photos than too few, right? The more image data, the better your process will, the better the reconstruction will be. And the more photos you capture, the better algorithm it will work. Don't zoom in between taking pictures, although some workflows allow you to. I think the software Trinio and Reality Capture should handle it. But sometimes, again, if you're zooming in, zooming out, it just might get a little bit confused and it might mess with the reconstruction a bit. And when shooting outside, remember that direct sunlight casts shadows that will be visible on the model. Sometimes high noon, a cloudy day is where you can get a perfect model where you don't have to do any kind of edits to fix those shadows up, right? Because sometimes if you have a hard shadow and you put it like, let's say in a 3D model world where the lighting's different, it's going to be kind of weird, right? And this is the last wall of text. Yes, the last wall of text we have to go through. So other tips to keep in mind in order to get the best and fastest results from your PG software: do not limit the number of images, use the highest resolution as possible. Sometimes even DSLR cameras, if some of your photography folks out there and know how to use a camera, all the better, but I'm going to teach you just guerrilla tactics using a mobile phone. I think it's just what you usually have on hand. Each point in the scene surface should be clearly visible and at least 2 high quality images. Again, the more, the better rule applies here. So again, you always want to make sure an image and an image like has some kind of connection right to the object. Always move when taking photos. Standing at one point produces just a panorama and does not contribute to the 3D model creation. But move around the object in a circular way, which, as you saw, I'm going to show you actual like nice, illustrations. The best I could do on a slide deck. And of course, start with taking pictures of the whole object, move around it, and then focus on the details. Don't start in and move out, start out and move in, okay? And beware of jumping too close at once. Make it gradual, slowly approach the object. Don't just be like 10, 15 feet back and then 5 feet, like 1 inch away from it. It's not going to work out. And then for complete loops, for objects like statues, buildings, and others, that you should always move around and up in the place where you started. So try to make like a nice circular motion, right? Trinio is pretty cool because it actually will show you a little blue dot at times showing what images you've taken. So yeah, so of course, this is just my like crude, drawing. Again, I'm not in person, so I can't really like, walk around and do the dance, do the jig for you. So this is at least some way I could do it. Honestly, in the future, I want to make like an actual 3D render of someone like in the 3D space doing this, which don't know why I haven't done it before. I just probably don't have the time for it. But anyway, so how this utilizes is those red arrows is your movements around the orange object in the middle, and those green arrows kind of represent the image, or the camera POV, right? So like when you're taking those images, so from the side, circling the object once, twice, 3 times, going up, going down, going low. That's going to be, of course, the best way you're going to get the image data for your object. And then, of course, here's a profile shot where, again, I'm kind of going over the object, right? PowerPoint slides or Google Slides actually have some fun graphics I never knew about. But yeah, doesn't that arrow actually convey, wrap around? Kind of cool, huh? And then, of course, like I said, sometimes you may not want to just scan an object. Of course, object is the best way to scan, but in reality, you may need to do an exterior or something like that. Maybe you want to do a facade of the building, right? So again, kind of just walking along it, sideways, taking the shots like that to make a panorama is one technique. Sometimes like stopping, doing like a sprinkler action, remember that from the 80s, right? Anyone? Maybe not. But anyways, but yeah, doing that kind of method that you see up here on the top right also may be totally work with. As always, just go cuckoo crazy. Take a bunch of images, right? The more the merrier. Interior scanning is one of the most difficult ways to do photogrammetry, and I almost would discourage it until you get some experience with the process. But it is possible, and especially when you're in a cluttered environment, like i.e. most of our bedrooms, I'm sure it's very difficult to get a very clean scan. This is more so like if you're like an empty warehouse or like a gymnasium or some kind of facility that's totally empty and doesn't have too many objects in the space, But hey, like I always say, it can be very experimental to to just try, and see what happens. You might be really happy with those abstracts and artifacts. Again, in art school, kind of breaking the machine sometimes is almost as good as doing it the right way. So that's the slide deck I have for you all today. As I mentioned, that is available on the Google Doc here. This is where, of course, capturing images for photogrammetry, that's where that is listed. So as I mentioned, reality capture is something I want to go over as well. But I think first, let's look at Trinio. And as I mentioned, while you're all kind of watching me, because I'm going to shift to my cell phone real quick, and I'm going to show you all how to navigate through a Trinio. So again, if you have a Trinio app and you want to follow along with me today, I'd recommend you open the Trinio app with me. Maybe put something on your desk. Again, a nice lit area or semi-lit is going to be really nice for you. Maybe try it with your water bottle or your computer mouse or something like that. Try it yourself, see what happens. And maybe some of you can share some of your scans at the end of class if you're able to do it. I've attended a photogrammetry workshop myself years ago after I already knew the process, but I was curious about it. And only 1 or 2 people actually followed along. So don't worry if you can't. A lot of this information is more so for me to relate to you and for you to try on your own. But if you're ready and willing and got the software downloaded for Trinio at least, let's give it a shot. Let's see what we can do. Maybe we can all, like I say, have a little showcase at the end. I think that would be wonderful. But with that being said, before I jump into Trinio, just as a reminder, after I'm done with Trinio, I'm going to come back and I'm going to focus on reality capture. So with reality capture, remember, probably download that sculptural relief image set, get that on your desktop and ready to rock and roll, because that's what we'll be using with the demo today, because it's going to be really quick. We're basically going to take these images from some sculpture that I'm assuming is maybe like in New York or something. This was an image set that I found online that I thought was really nice to demo with. Again, I provided my own image sets of a skull and a succulent, which you'll probably see in the tutorial slides if you check those out later. But I think this will be really nice to kind of show kind of like an exterior, but also a sculptural object, and how just 14 images can do a lot to create a 3D object. It's pretty killer. Like I said, I think you're all going to be really excited once you get the hang of this stuff. So that being said, I'm going to move to Trinio. So again, I know the Windows users and non-Apple iPhone people, you're going to be like, okay, so I'm just kind of hanging out and watching. But hey, I know myself, before I even had an iPhone to do this process, I used my partner's, and, I downloaded Trinio on her phone, and I was just having a blast with it, so much so that I ended up picking an iPhone down the road. So, never know. If you have a friend or a family member, give them $5, download the app, and you can do some cool stuff later. So that being said, I am going to share my screen here. And as always, feel free to throw any questions in the chat if there's any confusions, any issues you're facing. As always, I'm pretty organic and I'll answer anybody. Feel free to cut me off too. It's no sweat. Okay, so I'm going to share screen. Okay, start broadcast. It's always spooky when you got to do your phone, right? Like it's just like, oh, what was I looking at last, right? Okay, so there it is there. And here's Trinio. Okay. And before I even go into it, you can see there's a lot of selfies I do with my Trinio app. What's cool with it, you can actually do like self-portraits. Let me actually open up one of these. You can see I'm never happy when I do these scans. But here's a scan here. It's a little bit janky. Don't get me wrong. The lighting probably wasn't that good and my movement really wasn't the best. But again, yeah, if some of you ever want to like take the evolution of a selfie, you can easily do that with this app. And again, what's even cool about this app that I usually like too is it has an AR functionality too. So you can actually like, well, of course, this is going to be a little bit angled on my mouse opposed to my desk, but hey, that's pretty rad, huh? Like an AR, like, a capability as well. And shucks, what if you photo scanned a photo scan, right? That might be a little bit of inception work there. So what I'm going to showcase you, this is of course the library of Trinio. Some of you may not see that. On the right here, on the bottom right, you can see there's a full-on gallery, which you can actually see a lot of people from all over the world that have the Trinio app doing photogrammetry models. You can't download them, but I always very much enjoy like checking them out and seeing what other people around the world are kind of using the software to create. And again, it's like I say, for me, it's very much inspirational to see what other artists and folks are doing out there. Yeah, a lot of funny stuff. So what I'm going to do is hit the little bottom left icon here. Hey, you can see my desk now. I'm probably going to turn that off when I'm doing walk because I don't want you to see my messy room. So anyway, so the bottom left is of course what we're going to be utilizing. And what I'm going to do now is I think before I get started with describing everything about Trinio here, again, Trinio is pretty simple, so I'm not going to go over everything, but let me actually just do this. Let me mute myself on my computer. That's kind of weird. Let's see. Let me see. Hold on. Cancel. Go back to Zoom. is there a way I can unmute myself while I'm on screen sharing? Okay, I can. Okay, cool. Okay, let me mute myself. Yo, testing. Okay. Sounds like my voice comes through all right. Okay, so let's get this going. Let me get to my area. If you can hear me or anything like that, just, I don't know, yell at me. Okay. All right, so this is the model this is the object I'm gonna try to scan, a little bit experimental. It's crocodile head. Doesn't everyone, when they're growing up, get a crocodile head somehow, some way? Like, where do these crocodile heads come from? Are crocodiles becoming extinct? I don't know. So I'm in my bathroom because my bathroom has the best light. Look, there I am. Woohoo. Anyways, so let's get started. So there's two different methods that you can do with Trinio to photo scan. As you can see on the very top of my screen, there is an AR kit and an object mode. Object mode is actually how you could do the selfie and flip the camera around. Man, my hair is a mess. But anyways, we're just going to be utilizing the front facing cam. And even though object is pretty cool, I myself honestly really love the AR kit. And also what's really cool is you can actually, on the top left, you see that little image icon. You can actually upload images you take yourself. So in reality, you know, you can kind of go, you know, however you want to with the photo scanning. Like, let me actually showcase real quick. If I go to my camera, I'm going to show you just the classic technique of taking images for photogrammetry before I jump into Trinio. But it's like, you know, picture, 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 picture. So something like this. See how I'm like overlapping? You know, maybe I'll go up above it, picture, picture. Now, I'm not in Trinio now, so, you know, hopefully no one's just getting really bloody confused. But yeah, I'm just using my typical camera here because I can take this data image set, I can put it into Trinio, or I could put it into reality capture. Now you can notice here, I'm not getting the full roundabout, right? And that's of course going to make my model look a little bit different. I'm going to kind of like haphazardly just do my best to get the best images I can do, right? Maybe I want to get a really nice one here of the scales. Maybe they'll translate pretty nice. Okay. So anyway, so now I can go back to Trinio and I can click again this thing. And to show again, process here is, let's see, select more photos. I'm going to select all these little alligator heads I just took a picture of. Again, I know you all maybe not have this on your phone, so don't worry. I'm just showing a capability of it. And then now I need to select all those images. This is one process of Trinio that's pretty cool, is you can just take source images and not even use the app, and you can get the process for you. It's pretty cool. But let's showcase how Trinio can actually take its own images and how it can, again, construct those models for your needs. So hopefully this doesn't take too long. If so, I'm going to close the app and reopen it. Saving images, blah, blah, blah. Nice alligator. Yes, yes. Okay, now I'm kind of regretting doing this process, but I think it's really beneficial to showcase it. Wish it went a little bit faster. It's only 15 images, but I digress. We'll just give a moment here. Feel free to stretch yourself. Posture check, everyone. Oh, is everyone standing up? Oh, bone cracks. Okay. Okay, well, screw that. I'm not going to waste you guys' time. Let me open up Trinio again. Oh, maybe it did upload it somehow. Okay, cool. So anyways, so going back to this guy, so there are two different modes you can use. You can use object mode or the AR kit. I myself really love the AR kit, but sometimes each OR is going to kind of give a different result. So I'm going to, again, hit the bottom left to go into the camera mode. Remember, library, gallery, camera mode. I'm going to click on AR kit. It's already selected by default. I'm going to click the big button, record. And you can see now I'm kind of moving around. On the top left, it's going to show you a real-time point cloud being generated. Again, this point cloud data is very integral for it to grab those features, for it to extrapolate that information, and then again, use that information to create a 3D model of it. And again, what you're seeing here with the AR version is all these little blue dots that are appearing here. Basically, these blue dots are showcasing like kind of like the, I guess like the form of the object. In previous mobile apps that I've used, like it actually would change the color.
But basically you just want to kind of move around, make sure all the blue dots, and you can see on the very bottom here, you see my little record button, how it's filling up that little white bar around it. I kind of move it around as much as I can to kind of fill that bar up. You can definitely see how just taking an object here on my my countertop in my bathroom, it's already getting a lot of data from this. All right, it's going to say creating scan. Yes, we do. It's uploading. Now I can go back to my library. I can see, of course, this had an issue, so that's not going to worry about. Here we have our little alligator here that's uploading currently right now. And now it's in queue, and this is all going to be done on the cloud. It's nothing that your phone needs to go through, so it's pretty nice. And that's kind of it with that's kind of it with Trinio. Here's another scan I thought that was really nice that I did. Does anyone recognize this in the wood shop? It's the wood planer. And you can see there's some weird things that happen in Trinio, right? Reality capture is actually going to make a very clean version in comparison to what we see here. Like you can even see the stools through the thing. Isn't that weird, right? But Trinio, like I said, as being as an easy app and a cheap alternative, it does have a little bit of issues that I wish wouldn't, but it's a $5 app. What are you gonna do, right? All right, coming back in my room now, and let's get back on the computer and let's check out. Oh, I love that planner. Oh, I can see your chat now, Steve. I do too. The planner has helped me in so many projects in the past. Okay, let me get my headset for my computer here. Okay. So, I was going to say who's talking, but it's me. I'm listening to myself. So I'm going to stop broadcasting. Let me go back to Zoom. Okay, I'm going to mute myself here.
I'm back here. Hello. All right. Does my voice change that much on the mic? I don't know. All right. Is that gator moving? Okay, the chat's hilarious. I wish I would have saw that. I would have been a little bit more engaging. Okay, so anyway, so while the Trinio folks, again, you've done your scan, right? You're processing it, you're letting it go. You have, of course, the method I showcased where you can take images, but then upload them to Trinio. You can use the AR kit to do it, and you can do the object one. And as I mentioned, I don't really have a slide deck or supporting documents to really give you a nice clean tutorial about it, but here in the chat I'll throw the actual source from the horse's mouth, they say, right? So this resource right here, the Trinio tutorial, this will of course teach you more than I'm sure I could even encapsulate in this short demo. But they'll show you how to do object scanning, scene scanning, like when you actually do scenes. Of course, I'm not giving you really any time to download or play because I don't really care. You guys can all check it out yourself. And peoples and faces. And like I say, it's pretty cool. And they'll actually, again, go into some of those kind of best practices that I've shown you all. And it looks like they're actually going to have a new version called Trinio Plus, which I'm pretty hyped about, man. I can't wait for this one to come out. Shucks, in my Art 74 class, it's been really cool because Procreate recently just released an update where you can import 3D models into it. And some of the students in my class have been thinking about painting objects on it. So I'm always thinking hey, photogrammetry, painting in Procreate, that might be something I want to try out. Okay, so that would be fun. Maybe if there is a showcase channel, I think that'd be cute for you all to share your stuff. So that being said, let's shift gears into reality capture. So Windows users, this is when I'm looking at you. So Windows users, I know, of course, can I log out of reality capture? So long story short, with reality capture, the unfortunate reality of it, you need to log into it using either what some of you out there, maybe you could echo it in the chat if you're following along with the reality capture side of things. You need to download, I think you need to sign in with either a Google account, maybe a Facebook account, an Epic account, I know because they bought them. And I think that's it. Maybe a Gmail account might work as well. But whatever method you're able to log into, go for it. As I mentioned, it's going to kind of go through that kind of welcome window. I really wish I could have showed you how that process is loading in the first time, because I know it might be a little bit tricky. Again, if anyone runs into any issues, don't be shy. I'm happy to stick after the workshop and maybe work with some of you individually if you want to get reality capture up and running on your devices, because reality capture is a beast. If if I would say like, the Trinio is like a nice, what, a Miata or something like that. I mean, definitely reality capture is the Lamborghini of photogrammetry. And car people out there might be shaking their head going like, really, Lamborghini? That's the best you can come with? I don't play Gran Turismo too much, so I'm sorry. Okay, so with reality capture, so just to kind of walk over how this interface kind of looks like here, and actually let me turn on my highlighter here because I think that's going to be very important. Again, this is all being recorded, and I have already YouTube videos of reality capture listed in that Google Doc. So you're getting hit like with a bunch of resources here. So I hope it's not overwhelming, and I hope it's really fun for you to try out. So what I'm going to do here is I am going to grab my image set. Here it is here. Again, that sculpture relief thing, right? What I was talking about. Don't download, don't upload this PPI license thing. That's copyright, jazz. Don't sweat about that. But what I'm going to do here is I'm just gonna grab all these images. As a Windows user, I can easily just click one and shift click another, right? Mac users, you're on your own, brothers and sisters. But I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna slap this into the image, into the asset panel, I guess I'll call it. This is where you can bring your images into. Pretty simple, right? Of course, if you got like hundreds of images, it's going to take a little while to upload them all. But with the sculpture relief one, it's pretty quick. And as I mentioned, if some of you, again, that are following this reality capture, if you are, I commend you. It's not easy. Don't be discouraged. Don't be down on yourself. It is a tricky software, and I myself had to spend quite a few nights to figure it out. But I think it's pretty intuitive, and I think a lot of you will catch on. Maybe I'm underestimating your prowess. But what we're going to do now is after we upload, it's pretty simple here. If your interface looks any different, up on the top left, I am the third button here, the one-to-one layout. And again, if you have that tutorial nonsense and crud in your face, just close out. But to use the software, you have to sign in with some kind of reality capture account. It's a drag, I know, but that's just how it is, right? So now that I have my images uploaded, I'm just going to hit align images. So right here is the number 2 process. You can see here, it actually writes it out. Add imagery, step 1. Has all these additional buttons and features, which don't get overwhelmed. Don't even look at that stuff. Just put the blinders on, like, cover yourself there. It really just, where step 2 is where we got to go here. So if I hit start, it's going to go through all these processes one by one, but I kind of like going step by step and just kind of assessing what's happening, what's going on here, and how we can check this out in real time. So with these images uploaded, I'm going to just hit align images up here on the top. I might lag out a little bit there, but don't be discouraged. This process is always a little bit computationally intensive, but trust me, this is, again, not too bad. Actually, I'm on my virtual computer. What am I talking about? I'm not going to lag. Never mind. Psych. So anyway, so it's aligning the images there. Shows you that's going to take like 6 seconds. Bing, bada, boom. It gave me my model. So this is where, of course, I have a little bit more control. Maybe I could like rotate or move this object, which I would not during this alignment process. Maybe for some reason you would want to. The main thing that's pretty critical around this, and also, of course, right click is how you rotate around, scroll wheel, zoom in and out, panning. That's a good question. Left click. Okay, makes sense. But you have this little bounding box here. You see this little box that it's made. You can actually use this bounding box by grabbing these little dots to shrink it if you wanted to. So maybe you didn't want to scan the whole bathroom like I was doing right there with all those images, right? Maybe you just want to focus on the crocodile head. Probably shrink that bounding box down, right? For this test file that we're doing, we're just going to rock and roll with what we got. We're not really going to fuss around with editing stuff. That's maybe for workshop 2. Editing photogrammetry models, right? Maybe that would be something maybe you would be interested in. But nonetheless, though, what we're going to do here is we're just going to move to the next step. So after we've aligned the images, bing, bada, boom, we have a point cloud data. You can already almost see the model there, and you can actually see the images. Look at those little dots right there. Those are where those images are. It's kind of like trippy, right? Like it actually shows you where you were standing when you were taking those photos. To me, that's, like I said, it's like a black art. It's crazy. So now that I have the images all aligned and the point cloud data compiled, I'm going to hit calculate model. So of course, reconstruction is going to be one of the longest processes you have to go through. Again, I have the privilege to have a virtual computer here, so I don't hear my fans kicking on like, but this is definitely the process where you'll be the fans will be kicking on. And again, if you're worried that your computer may not be able to handle this, maybe just keep watching, hanging tight, ask any questions you may see, take some good notes, and then give it a shot after this workshop. Again, what's really nice is you can kind of get this process going. Well, maybe you wouldn't want to take a walk. It's raining in my area. But maybe you would want to go and get a snack, maybe watch a YouTube video, maybe watch the YouTube videos I've linked to you all, maybe watch more about Tyler, maybe go through Tyler's Instagram and I don't know, grief him or something like that. I'm just kidding. So we're almost done here with my file here. The reconstruction process is almost wrapping up. Took about a minute there. Not too bad, right? A minute? Can't complain. And look at that, gang. Woo! I almost flew out of the void there. But anyways, oh my God, this control schema. It's on the virtual computer. That's why it's like repeating the input data that I'm doing when I'm scrolling in. Anyways, but yeah, there's a 3D model right there. This is not in my bathroom. If it was, yeah, I probably would have a golden toilet in there too. But no, this is, like I said, some image set that I found from the web. Don't know where it's from. Maybe some of you out there might be able to figure it out. Maybe some of you seen this before. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Just like the amount of detail it picks up in just those like 14 images, right? Pretty wild. Now, you might be blown away now. Hang on, strap yourself in, because this is just one cool thing about it, right? The model's made, but now when we hit texturize, which I'm skipping a step called simplify. Simplify is a little bit more of a heavy-handed process. I'm looking at the clock, and of course, I know we can go past 8, which we will, just a couple of minutes. But I don't want to keep you all here tonight. I do have a video for simplification and again, tutorials for that. So I'd highly recommend you to look at that, because sometimes simpling the model in reality capture is going to be a lot beneficial than doing this like in Blender or Maya or whatever other 3D software you're going to utilize. Trinio does it all for you while it's processing, by the way. It simplifies, calculates textures. It does it all. I'm going to click the texturing button there and let it do its texturing step. While that's going, I'm going to check on my Trinio model and see if that's done. Maybe I could show you all that model. It's processed the model, but it's creating a 3D. That's good. So it should almost, if we're lucky, it might even be done too here in a minute. That's the thing that I always think is what's so rad with Trinio. It just goes so fast sometimes. Where's the gator? Where's the gator hiding here? I don't know. The gator is maybe in the statue. It's locked behind time. That gator's seen better places, better things. And one thing I guess I didn't really think about here is, well, I'm not going to take this model out of reality capture. As I mentioned, you got to pay for it. I'll show you what that payment looks like the kind of gauge with how it processes and stuff like that. An ASMR channel? No. Some people, I don't know, honestly, when I listen to my voice, when I do a lot of videos, I don't like my voice. I always think it sounds very nasally. But I always get that compliment of like, even back when I worked at a grocery store, when I'd go like, hey, can we get a cleanup in aisle 13? Always the customers go like, wow, Tyler, you should work in radio. And I'm like, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I get that a lot, but we'll see. Maybe that'll be my backup job if I don't make it. Can always rely on my voice. With that being said, here's the model, gang, as we were just kind of bantering and having a good time. See, this is the cool thing with this process. Let it render and just like chillax and, have a laugh or two, right? But nonetheless, though, here it is. Here's the model. It's all done. Look at how beautiful this model is, right? I mean, can you imagine like if someone came up to you and gave you $1 million and said, hey, artist, I want you to model this sculpture right here. And you're going to say, hell yeah. You know what you're going to do? You're going to take a bunch of images. You're like, oh, I'm going to use this for reference. You're going to throw it in the software, just take a vacation with that $1 million and then come back and go like, boom, here's your model. So anyway, so yeah, there it is. So of course, the main thing is we would have to take this model out of reality capture, right? To bring this into Blender, Maya, Unity, Unreal, somewhere, Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory, who cares, But of course, what you're going to need to do is you would have to export it out of reality capture. So reality capture provides plenty of different file formats for you to export into. I myself always go with Wavefront OBJ. Does anyone know where the concept of Wavefront came from? Anyone know? I know, Steve, you probably know, but you know a lot of things. But again, for example, I'm going to pretend export this, right? Like, hey, yo, exporting. I'm going to save it. Oh, I guess I can't do that with all that stuff. Try it again. No spaces. So it's exporting my creation, but it's going to come up with a payment plan. Acquire license for creation. So look at that. For this model right here, it costs me 5 cents to render it out. And I can use this model to whatever I want to outside of this software. And once you export it once, you can come back to, because you're acquiring the license for it. It's not just exporting the model, it's the licensing for the model itself. So I can simplify this. I can further edit it within Reality Capture. I can do whatever the hell I want to with it, right? And that's, I think it's pretty rad. Agreed, you got to pay, 1,000 credits is like $10. So it's not too bad, but like I say, 5 cents for like this magical software, pretty rad in my opinion. And once you have it all done, let's see if I have some models here I could showcase you all real quick. 14 megabytes. Okay, this could be something I could show. This is for some of the thesis work that I'm doing here in my grad program. But yeah, now once you have the photo scan model, you have the model. You can do whatever you want with it. Maybe again, you're making a game and you want to have a realistic like tunnel they go through, or a realistic object, or a pickup like a collectible or something like that. Definitely you can do that stuff. And it's pretty radical. Like, I agree with what you say there, Annie. I'm missing some of the chat, I'm sure, but it is really well detailed. It's like I say, it's pretty wild. And this is with LiDAR, by the way. This is in photogrammetry, so I'm kind of cheating you there. Okay, the one thing I do want to showcase, like I said, I'm not going to go into Blender and all that kind of stuff, but even like this is where you can take these photo scan models and do some like weird kind of photo, modeling with it. That's a photo scan version of me inside that cave with some like sun rays and some modeling going on there. But I'm not going to open up Blender and all that stuff. I think you all have the chops to utilize whatever 3D software you want to. I think what would be nice here real quick is let me open up my phone and let me see. Yes, the alligator finished. I wonder what he looks like. Wow, actually that came out pretty damn good. 5 stars. Yes, I enjoy the Trinio app. I'm not going to write a review though. Let me share a screen here on my phone, and then I'll open the floor for questions, curiosities, critiques. Don't need to mute myself. I just need to share a screen. Tyler, get with it, man. I don't do too many of these phone share things, to be honest with you. I'm pretty old school, so it takes me a minute. All right, now let's go back to Trinio. Here's my little gator head. And look at that, gang. Now, again, he's toothless. Trinio doesn't do the best. That detail is not going to be as perfect as we saw in Reality Capture. But again, look at that. Even got the backside pretty damn good too, right? Look at that granite. Look at that granite. In many ways, mirrors and stuff is when things get very weird with photogrammetry. But yeah, the gator came through all right. And of course, now I can like hit the share button, get this 3D mesh out of the app, put it like in a Google Drive or something like that. Where is my Google Drive? Down here. And then of course you would upload it to like your Google Drive or whatever like that. I'm not going to walk through the process. I don't want you to check out my folders, you creeps. And that's a wrap. That's basically it. So of course, as I mentioned, there's a lot to go through. Some of you maybe were successful following along, but don't be worried. Don't be discouraged if this was tricky. It is a complex process. That's why there's a full class here that I've been co-developing with Craig to teach this process, because it is not something you learn in one night. It's something that you can learn the process, but it's on you now to take this knowledge and go forth with it and do whatever you want with it. Experiment with it, have fun with it, get your friends involved, like do some scans of them and put them in a video game and make them dance. Go to this other platform that I'm sure you're all aware of called Adobe Mixamo. Take your modeled scans and put them in this app to make them dance and jig. It's kind of fun, to be honest with you. My friends are weird though. They think I'm scanning them for like the future or something like that. But yeah, this process right here is documented quite well through this slide deck and this Google Doc. So yeah, check it all out. I think it's going to be really nice. And then lastly, before I go, I have so many bloody windows open. Tyler's going cuckoo crazy. But before I open up the Q&A and all that jazz, I just wanted to say, when the heck is that stuff? Okay, well, here it is here. I'm just going to open it up again. So anyway, so the last thing I just want to showcase is, again, Reality Capture tutorial is listed here. My slide deck for capturing images is here. Trinio tutorial is here. Again, if you're using the mobile app and want to learn it a little bit more, it's available. And then, of course, in these YouTube links, if you want to listen to my voice, which I don't think, again, I have the best voice, I do have these models right here. And again, I'm using the same image sets that I'm providing you, the succulent, the skull. So if you want to follow along with me virtually at your own pace, check out these videos, 20-minute long, 17-minute long. And this goes over the simplification process. Not too bad, gang. Look at that. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Give me a comment, share it with your friends. I'm just playing with you. You ain't got to do that. And that's a wrap. Was anybody able to get a model in Trinio maybe, or something else they would like to share? Maybe some of you tried reality capture. If anything, it's open for Q&A, I guess, until until things kind of dissolve a little bit. But yeah, any questions from the class? Anyone have any ideas? Maybe ideas they would use these models for? Questions about the process? Like I said, anyone want to show and tell? I'm happy for anything. Or no questions. Just give me a round of applause then. Give me something. Give me something on your ends. There we go. That's what I like to see.
Well, thank you, Tyler. I wanted to say that I had Trinio on my phone because you told me to.
Oh yeah, months ago. Yes.
But I didn't know exactly how to use it because I didn't know how to exactly this was really helpful.
Nice. Were you able to scan anything for us today, Sudie?
It didn't come out right. I didn't take as many pictures. I only took like 3 or 4 pictures. So
okay. Well, if you feel like you would like to share, maybe throw it up on the Discord channel under their show and tell channel. I'd love to check it out. And again, like I said, I mean, shuck scan, broken images are totally fine. And sometimes it's magical. I mean, like, look at, like these, right? I mean, these are broken scans. These are broken scans, but there's still a lot you can have fun with it. And like sometimes, honestly, that abstraction and that brokenness, sometimes a little bit poetic, right? I mean, it's an interesting process with the computation, how again it processes these. So anyways, so I'm happy you're able to try it out, Sudie. If anything, I'm really looking forward to see what beautiful works you can make, or some crazy Frankenstein abominations. All of it's beautiful in my eyes. I definitely would love to check it out. So thanks for that, Sudie. Glad you're able to check it out there.
Thank you. And another question is what is what you just showed us on reality? Okay, is that the same as Mesh Mixer?
No, it's not the same as Mesh Mixer. It's totally different. The only thing that I guess is mesh related, that maybe that you've heard me say in the past, is Mesh Room. So Mesh Mixer, again, Mesh Mixer was a software, of course, for some of you in my Art 74 class that are here tonight, is a 3D software that's more so developed for preparing models for 3D printing. It does have like some sculpting and other aspects to edit the model, but it's not a 3D modeling software. Reality capture is purely for photogrammetry processes. So it takes just that image data and reconstructs it into a 3D model. You can't really do any modeling, sculpting, editing you can do, but that's kind of it. So yeah, reality capture, it's its own beast, same category as 3D, but it's a little subcategory for photogrammetry.
Got it. Thank you.
Of course. I do see some questions in the chat. I'll try to catch out. Feel free to throw on the mic. I mean, honestly, with Zoom, I feel some of us might be losing our voice out in the real world. So I love it when I hear your voice. So, feel free to advocate for your question if you'd like. So that being said, Alyssa, I'm going to read your question unless you would like to jump in there. I always appreciate your profile avatar as Alyssa. You're always, again, the meme queen in my eyes. It's nice to see you again, by the way, too. Great to have you tonight. So off topic, but are you teaching any classes for spring? Unfortunately, I'm out of the game in spring, man. I'm trying to focus on my thesis work. I'm taking a break from teaching Art 74. I still probably will be involved with Art 107 with Craig Hobbs. So if, again, some of you are later in the DMA program, or maybe can get a special request. Now, Art 107 is not easy. It's tough. There's a lot of processes we do, from 3D modeling, photogrammetry, and world building in Unity. It's pretty intensive. That can almost be, again, stretched out to 2 parts, but it's a really magical course. And it's kind of like my dream course if I would ever, teach it. And I guess that is the class I kind of co-developed with Craig. So I guess it was the dream class that I finally brought to fruition here. So it's been really cool working with Craig the last 2 semesters, and maybe next semester I'll still be there to kind of TA. But yeah, Art 107 or Art 74, I'm going to take a break because it does take a lot out of me, and I need to focus on my grad work and my thesis work, because, hey, I got to graduate too, gang. I've been here since 2014 as an undergrad up to the graduate program in 2018 and beyond. So yeah, I love it here, but I got to make some moves. And who knows? Maybe I'll throw my hat in the lecturing pool. Maybe you'll see Tyler in the future. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a mustache or a beard down the road. Who knows? So yeah, hopefully that answers the question for you there, Alyssa. If anything, I'm always around. You could always hit me up. Nathan, for photo capturing, what is the best file to use? Good question, Nathan. So during my time, I've utilized only JPEG. Sometimes PNGs, if like the file export comes that way. JPEGs are totally fine, but JPEG is a lossless format. Sometimes raw photos can be the most best detail you can get. So really there's a wide use of different file formats that can be utilized for photogrammetry. Again, I'm going to actually get out of my phone here. I'm tired of listening to myself echo in the background. Let me leave my, oh, I'm still screen broadcasting here? No, I'm not. Leave. Okay. That was just my mobile app. Okay. So anyway, so yeah, Nathan, really, there's only a couple of file formats that are utilized. JPEG is the best I've had experience with, but you can use like .raw. There's some other file formats that I'm kind of losing myself, but just Google it. You'll find them out. It depends on what software you're using, by the way. But yeah, JPEGs, I think for a beginner, best way to go. All is worthy show and tell is on Discord. Okay, cool. Yeah. So again, yeah, should throw your scans if you did them on the Discord app. I'd love to check them out. Even if you don't get them done tonight, I would love to check them out in the future. Kevin, very cool. Now I can get a new toy to play with and maybe add to my workflow and making some glitch stuff. Totally. You know, what's also really cool is, you know, when you talk about toys, is a lot of people like have like figurines or action figures, Legos. It might be really interesting to scan those and see if you can do some cool stuff with it. Like I said, when the world is, you know, when reality can be your medium and you can take anything like that and transition to a 3D model, I don't know. My mind's already blowing to the possibilities. You can do some really cool, trippy stuff. And like I said, I've collected a lot of resources for photogrammetry artists. So if you ever need a little bit of inspo, find me on Discord, email me, whatever. I'm happy to do that for you. And of course, Elena, you said thank you. I'm seeing that you're gone, Elena. I know you always have very long days, so hopefully you enjoyed it, Elena. Hopefully it was fun for you. I know you're not here, but nonetheless. Annie, you could export stuff and then retopologize it in Maya or Blender, right? Oh, yes. Good point, Annie. You know, did I put that in that slide deck for you all? Ah, yes. I didn't really mention it, but this link right here, optimizing photogrammetry models in Blender. So you bring up a really good point, Annie. Retopolizing is a really great technique. Again, if that's the kind of detriment with photogrammetry is you may, okay, you may look at this photo scan. Look at all this extra data it came with. I just wanted this little cross in the middle and look at all that extra data. It's a mess. But I take this model and I bring it into Blender. I remesh it. And of course I paint on it. Retopolizing is probably a better technique. Another software that might be fun to look at for some of you out there is called Instant Mesh. Instant Meshes is where it makes it more of a quad based, you know, mesh. So again, this is also really nice as well. And I'll throw that in the chat in case some of you are interested. So, so yeah, definitely, Annie, once you get the model, you could do whatever you want with it. Even sometimes myself, I make a lower res version, especially let's say for that cross, I could have just modeled a couple of cubes and then bake that image texture on it. Bing, bada, boom. You got a very low poly model with a nice high resolution texture. So it's pretty cool. As I've learned over the years of modeling, geometry is pretty nice, but honestly, texturing is what conveys realism, not the model itself. Texturing is the way to go. And yeah, substance and all that stuff, pretty sure it's an OBJ file format. You can do whatever the heck you want with it. Lori advocates for 107. I agree. Marathon Man, Steve, you got to give me the stuff you're doing over there, man. I got to catch those references. I'm just kidding. And yeah, I don't know. Oh, there's another question from Van here. Can I crop my model after recording on Trinio? So Trinio, at least for now, apparently doesn't have any cropping features, but again, Van, all you need to do is take that model out of Trinio, use that export feature, bring it into Blender, bring it into somewhere else and crop it that way. That probably would be the best way to do it until Trinio Plus comes out. And then maybe you could do some cropping there. Other photogrammetry and LiDAR software will allow you to crop in app. But again, I like to take it out of those apps and get it in Blender because I'm a little bit more comfortable in that environment. So whatever 3D modeling software, even Mesh Mixer, as Sudi bring up, you could do the cropping there. I mean, but it might be a little bit heavy duty for Mesh Mixer, depending on how big and sophisticated of a model you're doing. What do you call it, Zuka? So you were mentioning the file format JPEG. Would that be better than PNG? Honestly, I think PNG and JPEG are kind of universal. PNG, of course, I always use for like web more so than like photogrammetry. But honestly, to tell you all the truth, I take the images on my phone. I've updated my phone setting. This is very important for you iPhone users. You have to update your phone settings to export those images as JPEGs. By default, your iPhone will export them as HEIC file format. Most photogrammetry software, for some reason, doesn't like that. So JPEG is honestly what I've used as my bread and butter. But other formats are totally applicable. That would just be something you probably would have to research on your own. But yeah, JPEG, as you can see with some of my photogrammetry work, you can get some really nice detail with just JPEGs. And yeah, I think that kind of wraps up the questions there.